Our first deal made us $3,600. The second deal made us $9,500. A third deal made us $10,000. The next deal made us $20,000. Within a matter of 6 months, we had paid off our debt. We had created $5,000 in monthly cash flow, temporary cash, for the next 7 to 10 years. And we have put a year's worth of living expenses on the sideline. So that's an acceleration.
Welcome to the Wealth Strategy Secrets of the Ultra Wealthy podcast, where we help entrepreneurs like you exponentially build wealth through passive income to live a life of freedom and prosperity. Are you tired of paying too much in taxes, gambling your future on the stock market, and want to learn about hidden strategies for making your money work for you? And now your host, Dave Wolcott, serial entrepreneur and author of the best-selling book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy.
How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another episode on Wealth Strategy Secrets of the Ultra Wealthy. I'm your host, Dave Wolcott, and today we're diving into a unique, overlooked niche in real estate that has created massive cash flow and generational wealth for those who understand how to tap into it. I'm talking about land flipping, and joining us is the master of this strategy, Jack Bosch. Jack is a German immigrant who came to the U.S. with just 2 suitcases and a vision. And today he's completed over 5,000 land deals, built a thriving real estate empire, and taught thousands how to escape the rat race through his powerful land profit system. In this episode, Jack shares how he went from broke and burned out in corporate America to financially free in just 18 months, why land is one of the most underrated and underutilized asset classes in real estate, how to flip land without using your own capital and generate monthly passive income through seller financing, the difference between one-time, temporary, and forever cash, and why most people are playing the wrong game, and his immigrant advantage mindset and how to unlock financial freedom on your own terms. If you're looking for an alternative path to build wealth, create cash flow, and take control of your future, this episode is for you. And hey, if you got some value from this conversation, be sure to subscribe and share this episode with somebody who's ready to break free from conventional thinking and design a life of true freedom. Let's jump in. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, really great to have you on the show and really unpack a strategy that I think is really quite unique in the alternative and real estate space. People don't talk about too much. And I think there's some good application as well for people who might be, let's say, non-accredited investors or people looking for a side hustle or just, alternative ways to drive that cash flow that we're all looking for, right, to get out of the rat race. So why don't we begin, Jack, and let's talk a little bit about your origin story. I know you come from some roots as an expat to the U.S., which always brings, I think, a real unique perspective, and frankly, it's what's what the U.S. is made of, right? Is expats and everything. So tell us how you got here.
Yeah, so I came here many years ago, actually in 1997. So that is like almost 30 years ago by now, to really finish my college degree. And I was on the path of like, get a good education, get a good college. I went to a top university in Germany, got a degree in business administration, was ready to go into like consulting or something really fancy in Germany. And then I realized my English is not very good. So let me go. And it was decent. I was good enough to enter university here and so on, but I didn't feel as comfortable as I thought I needed to be in order to actually get a career done in corporate America. So I had the opportunity to, with the German university, do an exchange program in the US for 1 year, get an American MBA because I already had all the advanced classes. So they gave me credit for a bunch of stuff. So I only had to take like 2 semesters, 10 months of classes in the US. And then I would have an American MBA. And at the same time, obviously, be spending 10 months in the US and having classes in English and having to write papers and speaking and presenting would increase my English a lot. So it's like, great. It's like three birds in one hand, or however you say that. Sorry, sometimes these things, the way to say that, I still don't know. But the point is like I have 3 things in one. I get to get international experience. I get to improve my English. I get an American degree, and they gave me credit to what was missing in Germany. So I even finished my German degree without having to spend extra time in the university. So it's like perfect combination. Great. I'm not losing time. It's only plus, 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 plus. I subleased my apartment, put a bunch of stuff in my parents' basement, came over to the US. 3 weeks later, I come across this young lady who is an immigrant herself. And this young lady and I get to talk, I asked her for a date. Things got more serious. We decided after the year is over, she graduated at the time too with her undergrad, and I graduated with a master's. And we decided at that point, you know what? This is too serious to just say goodbye and leave into our respective countries. Let's try to stay here. We love it here. We love the US. Let's see if we can get jobs. We got lucky. We got jobs. And a long story short, we're now married as of last week, 24 years. Have a 17-year-old daughter. It worked. We're now an American citizen. We came to stay here, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the story of the very beginning. We then ended up getting jobs, very quickly realized the job world is not what I was made out for. The job world is not. I'm naturally a contrarian. I'm naturally, if you say do something, I say why. Right? If you do something, it's like, what's the sense in it? If it doesn't make sense, why would I do this? Right? I'm naturally a little bit of a revolting person. So I never had straight A's. I was a straight C student, B and C student. And in the job world, when you just have to work, I worked my butt off. I was a really good teammate, but I didn't like it. I didn't like having to do what other people told me, not having my own freedom. And little did I know that this really is entrepreneurial characteristics. I just didn't know that I was that. Because nobody in my family is an entrepreneur. Nobody in my extended family is an entrepreneur. I've got one distant uncle, but he was really quiet about it. He never talked about it. So I had no idea that really my future is in entrepreneurship until I was miserable in my job. And I was promoted. I got promoted 3 times in 3 years. Started as junior consultant at a software consulting firm. After 3 years, I was a senior consultant, but I hated it. So what we did is Michelle and I, my wife and I, we started looking around, and we found real estate. And through real estate, we found a niche that you mentioned that's very little, that still to this day is overlooked by most people. And that is simply land flipping or land wholesaling or land splitting or land development or land seller financing, basically the subject matter of land. And we created a system out of that allowed us to, since then, do 5,000 deals. I was able to quit my job the moment I had my green card. And my ability to stay in the country was not tied to a visa with a company, but I had a green card now. I could be free. And so immediately we quit and we went full time. But the point is, over those couple of years that I still had the job, because I ended up having the job for 5.5 years. For over those 2.5 years, we were trial and error, trying to create a plan B that over time could become plan A and replace the job. And we accomplished that, and now we're teaching this for people all around the world to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, really awesome story. And it's interesting because I really do think immigrants have such a unique perspective when they come to the U.S. A lot of, U.S. citizens, really sometimes are frustrated with politics, certain things that are going on in the country. But unless you've really traveled the world and seen, how other countries are, I mean, you will be so grateful for the things that we have, and especially as an entrepreneur. Now, I love Germany. There is so much culture there, the food, the people, and things like that. But I could not imagine trying to be an entrepreneur in Germany, or frankly, in Europe, like anywhere, right? The bureaucracy, I think, would really shut me down, right?
It's a nightmare. I mean, my brother now is an entrepreneur too, has a small business. And man, he gets audited every 2 or 3 years. He has to have every receipt in paper, like every receipt. Literally, when you file your taxes, you submit a binder like this with every receipt taped into it, and photocopies of it. And when you want to do anything, there's hurdles and government regulations, and really Europe is they say like the U.S. innovates, Europe regulates. And I think that's 100% true. It's almost impossible to innovate over there, because there's some kind of environmental group, some kind of like whatever group that just like fights you to tooth and nail, and it's a nightmare. So yes, with all the things that are happening in the U.S. and all the things that people complain about, it is by far still the land of opportunity. Is by far the land of where you can come in with nothing, like I did. My dad is a middle school teacher. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I came here with 2 suitcases, enough money to pay for 1 semester of school. The second semester, I had to borrow money from my brother and some student debt I had already, and built this in with the strategy that we now do. Within 18 months, we built that into $1 million, and then within another couple of months into 8 figures. And that is like the classic zero to millionaire kind of story. Now, I necessarily didn't wash dishes or dishwasher to millionaire or whatever it is, but it's that rags to kind of, I don't know, riches in a way story that is only possible. I mean, it's possible everywhere, but it's regularly possible in the United States.
Yeah, for sure. So let's unpack your land flipping strategy, Jack. How does it work?
Yeah. So we call it land profits, like my T-shirt says here. And I still kept one of my European traditions. I drink what they call angry water, basically sparkling water here. So my daughter's friends, they don't like that stuff, but I love it. So anyway, so what we basically figured out is that there is 46 million pieces of land in the United States. And at any given time, about 4 to 5% of those owners just don't want their property anymore. Now, they're not usually distressed. They're not usually, this is different from the house flipping world. In the house flipping world, you go after the people that are about to have their mortgage foreclosed, that are about to have declare bankruptcy. They're allowed, they need money tomorrow in order to move on and not be severely dinged in their credit and their financials and so on and so forth. In the land world, it's completely different. You have at any given time, it's about 2 million pieces of land where the owners simply say, you know what? I've had this thing for 35 years. I don't want it anymore. Or they say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of paying $2,000 a year in property taxes. It's not killing me, but I cringe every time. Or they're sick and tired of paying proper HOA fees. Or they're sick and tired of having to send the landscapers out 3 times a year to mow the grass or because the weeds are that tall. Or the owners have passed away and now heirs have these properties. And simply these are quality properties all over the United States that the owners just, for one or the other reason, don't want anymore. Perhaps they had plans to build on them. Perhaps they had plans to build a retirement home on them. I love, for example, rural lakefront properties. So like outside of bigger cities, there's often some lakes. And on those lakes, there's communities and there's lakefront lots or lots close to the lakefront. They're usually owned by somebody that's owned them for 35 years. They had plans to build their retirement home there. But what happens is the kids are now grown up. The kids moved 500 miles or 1,000 miles the other direction. And what happens is the parents, they don't want to be, and now the grandkids are born. And all of a sudden, the parents realize, I don't want to be sitting on the lake when my grandkids are over there. And so they move closer to their grandkids, further away from the lot, and their life plans change. So what happens is these people are willing to let these properties go often for almost nothing because in their mind, it's a written off cost. It's a sunk cost. It's just like they want to get rid of the burden of property ownership. They don't have any use for it. It just takes money out of their pocket. And these lots are not on the market. They're actually out there. They're just owned. But we figured out how to find the people that are most likely to not want these properties, how to contact them, how to get in front of them, how to get these deals on a contract on average between 20 and 60 cents on the dollar. And then what we turn around is multiple strategies to sell them. The first simple strategy is if we get a $50,000 property on a contract for $15,000, we simply go and mark it up to 30, sell it, and make a quick $15,000 profit. Boom, done. You don't even own it. You don't even need to buy it. You can just put it on a contract, assign it off to the same guy, to the next guy, or in states where that is not allowed, you put it on a contract. You perhaps use a money lender to give you the money to buy it. You have the buyer already lined up, and 2 days later you sell it, or use transactional funding to do it. So you don't even use your own money to do those. That's strategy number one. Strategy number two is we love selling them with seller financing. So if you have that $50,000 property under contract for 15, we market, the fast way to sell it is to just wholesale it. Mark it up to 30, sell it. The second way is to sell it, to mark it up to full market value and ask for like a 25, 30% down payment. So if you get a 30% down payment on a $50,000 property, that's $15,000. Now, if you have to give the seller 15 and the buyer gives you 15, you can do this as a pass-through transaction. You get the 15 from the buyer, send it to the seller. You have no money in the deal. And now, because the buyer still owes you $35,000, you actually created the note. So you basically allow the buyer to say, yeah, I want to buy this for 50 grand. Can I give you $15,000 now and pay you the remaining $35,000 over the next 15 years in monthly payments of $400 a month?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes.
So let me,
right? Yeah,
so let me just pause one
Sure.
second before we
I'm excited
continue
about that stuff. I go pretty
Yeah,
fast.
no,
So,
it's really good stuff. I want to take a pause for a sec and just drill into this seller or the new buyer side, right? So
yeah.
in your scenario, right, you're stating that people just want to get rid of the property, which I could see it. Maybe it was passed down, and I've actually seen an example of that in our family as well. It's kind of things passed down. People don't want to keep paying property tax on it. They don't live in the area, makes sense for them. So then if that property is less attractive, right, to the seller, like how are you able to find buyers for that property?
Okay. So one of the things is that the sellers usually are not professional real estate investors. They're just some couple somewhere that owns the property or an heir that's busy, and they don't know. They perhaps know that there's Zillow around, and they have been on Zillow to look at what the house of their neighbor's worth and what their own house is worth, but they haven't gone anywhere, I think. So they don't know of websites like land.com, landwatch.com. They don't know that you actually can put your, if you're the owner of the property or if you have control of the property, you can put it on Zillow as a for sale by owner. They don't know any of these things, but we do. And then the other thing is that actually how you put the property on the market matters a lot, because this is what typically, at this point, what I typically get as a question is like, well, Jack, or perhaps in your case also the implied question here is like, well, why don't they just sell the property themselves? Right? Yeah. That's usually a question that I get. And some have tried that, but here's what they typically do. They go to their neighbor and say like, hey, I heard your daughter or your son is a realtor. Would he mind listing this property for me? Now that realtor is trained on how to sell houses. And how you sell houses is completely different than how you sell land. When you do, so when this realtor works for whatever the different brokerages are, Berkshire Hathaway, you name it, but the different ones, like drawing a blank right now. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of brokerages out there. So they're trained to get the photographer in, take the sunset pictures. If the house is empty, stage it. If the house is cluttered, declutter it. Put everything in its right place. Do a broker's open. Do a weekly or so open house on the weekends. Put it on the MLS. Describe it with 3 bedrooms, 2 bath in the school district, and then eventually, if it's priced well, somebody will come along and buy it. Well, land listings don't work like that. In the land listing side, you're not describing this property has 17 trees. So 5 of them are 10 foot tall and 7 of them are 25 foot tall. Nobody cares about that. What people care about is to some degree if it has utilities, because obviously they want to know, do I have to bring them in or are they already there? But most importantly, it depends on what they want to do with the property or on the property or from the property. So in other words, we typically focus on 3 kinds of properties. We don't just buy anything. We focus on number 1, infill lots. Infill lots are lots in the city. Think 35 houses, 2 empty lots. Those are obviously the easiest to sell because if we have one of those, I simply pull up the list of local builders, call 5 builders, and I have it sold. The second kind of property, and you don't have to do much dream building. That's really what I'm talking about in the listing generator. It's dream building that you do. The second kind of property is in the path of growth. These are properties perhaps 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes outside of a larger development area, larger metro area. And they're interesting they're interesting for 2 kind of buyers. Number 1, it's people that just want to live further outside. A lot of people work from home now. Even though some companies pull their people back, there's still estimated that 30% of Americans will continue to work from home. Well, that's 50 million Americans that work from home. And not everyone wants to live in a cookie cutter neighborhood. Some people, whenever I do a webinar or something, might have 300-400 people on there, ask the question, who would love to have 2 to 5 acres, 20-30 minutes outside of town, where you can build your dream home, and you're close to the city, so if you have something to do in the city, it's only a 20-30 minute drive. but otherwise you have peace, you have space, you have space for a garden, you have space for goats, whatever you want to have there, dogs, a horse, and really, and usually out of the 300-400 people in a webinar, 150 to 200 people say like, yeah, me, I want this. This is what I want. I don't want to be coughing down my neighbor's neck, and I don't want to have an HOA that if I put the garbage can out for 2 hours too long, I get a nasty letter, and so on and so forth. So this is number one. And number two is also future retirees. People are retiring. There's a lot of retirees that don't have enough saved. And when they get Social Security, they have the choice, do I pay rent or do I eat? Well, there's a third choice. If you're 10 years from retirement, go get a $30,000 lot from us or a $50,000 lot, put $10K down, pay that off over the next 10 years with $500 a month, and then put a mobile home on there, and you have a dignified retirement. Because now you got no cost for the land, no cost for the mobile home, and there your $1,600 Social Security is there enough. But here's the thing. If you're a work from home person, do you want to live in the middle of nowhere, or do you want to live close to things? If you want to be a future retiree, do you want to live in the middle of nowhere, or do you want to live close to a town, close to a church, so what is around is way more important than what's on the property. So when we list those properties, we don't describe them. By the way, the third one is larger acreage. Like I call it mini ranches, 20 acres, 40 acres, 80 acres. And it's the same thing there. People want space, but they don't want to be in the middle of nowhere. So when you sell land, it is so much more important that what you describe is where is this land compared to the things that are important to you. So how close is this to the next church for the retiree? Retirees, usually America is a very religious country. And then, so people want to be close to community. Where's the next restaurant? Where's the next doctor's office? Where's the next gas station? Where's the next lake? Where's the next community? How far am I from the interstate? So you can actually tell people, this here is 20 minutes outside of town. Yes, it has 12 trees. You mentioned that too, but nobody really cares if it has that because they're not buying it for the trees. They're buying it because they want to fulfill their dream of a dignified retirement. So as long as that property is big enough and it has some utilities, the utilities are important. As long as this property is enough and has easy access to the city again, boom, both the retirees and the work from home people are snatching this up like tomorrow. This market went on fire at after COVID. So the key is a lot of them, now I'm drawing the big circle to everything here, is that those sellers, when they're selling the property, why are they not selling it themselves? And why can we find the buyers? Because they asked their neighbor's son or daughter to list it for them. And that realtor has not been trained on any of what I just said. What this realtor is going to do is going to go out there. First, he's going to treat it like the stepchild that they don't like. They're going to simply go and take an aerial picture from Google. They're going to put the two-liner on there. This property is for sale. It looks like it's buildable. And they're going to put it on the MLS with no information, no dream building, no putting into context, nothing whatsoever. And as a result, many, many times these listings sit on the market forever. As a matter of fact, we have a niche strategy that we teach our students where they can go find these ugly listings that have been on the market for a year plus, go connect with a realtor, offer a really low amount of money on those, and then use our strategies to build a beautiful listing to relist the property on a different platform right away and sell it for $20,000 more in a matter of 2 weeks. Because there's nothing wrong with the properties. The listings usually are horrible. And now if a seller listed with somebody like that, and it sits there for a while, at some point of time, the listing expires, the owner is going to think, well, I guess my property is not worth anything. And now we contact them, coincidentally, and we're like, yeah, we're going to offer you 25 cents on the dollar. It's like, yeah, I thought it was worth more, but at this point, I just want to get rid of it. And they sell it to you. And the truth of the matter is it's a perfectly good $50,000 lot. They just had a bad realtor. And up until a couple of years ago, 95% of all realtors were not trained on land. It's changing a little bit now, but it used to be that realtors are absolutely horrible to work with on land. On houses, fantastic, but on land, they didn't know. And that is a benefit to us because there's a lot of disillusioned sellers, owners. But when we put it together, we put it in a sequence of pictures, a sequence of description, a sequence that really makes somebody who is a future retiree or wants to live outside of time, makes their mouth water. And they're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted. because we're building a dream for them.
Hey, it's Dave Wolcott here. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of the same old financial advice that leaves you spinning your wheels? If you're ready to discover the real secrets the ultra wealthy use to build unstoppable wealth, then I've got something just for you. My new book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy, is your ticket to learning the proven strategies that the top 1% don't want you to know. This book isn't just about money. It's about building a life of purpose, freedom, and lasting impact. And I want to give you a free copy. Visit holisticwealthstrategy.com and get yours today. It's time to level up your financial game and create the future you deserve. Okay, so interesting. So you're not contacting, say, local brokers in a region that are specialized in land. You're actually providing a training course to help people figure out how to sell it for maximum profit.
So both. I mean, obviously, we do this business and have been doing this business since 2002, and we have done over 5,000 deals, my wife and I and our team. But we also, since for the last 16 years, we have been teaching others how to do this, and we're providing training courses and coaching for people to how to do that themselves. But in the other answer to your question is, in today's world, we do recommend that you reach out to brokers that are specialists on land, because land is the new sexy thing in real estate. Land is the up and coming asset class right now. Like, houses are struggling in some markets right now a little bit. Multifamily in some markets is struggling a little bit. Office is obviously down since COVID. What's on fire right now is two asset classes in real estate. Even Airbnb is struggling a little bit. I own one. The bookings are down across the board by a lot of people. And there's two asset classes in real estate right now on fire. One of them is warehouses, because everyone orders stuff online and gets it shipped. And number two is land. Land is the asset class that everyone always forget. And it's now coming up like freaking crazy, particularly since COVID, when people realize that their ability to move freely in space can be taken away. And they're like, and a lot of response to a lot of people was like, then I want my own piece of land that I can move freely on. And I can be getting away from everyone if there's a pandemic, and I can have my peace and wait it out there, or just nobody can tell me what to do on my land. So the need for land the desire for land and the demand for land has gone up a lot. So with that said, since that happened, because of that, realtors has obviously picked up on that, and more realtors are now being trained on land. But it's still probably such that 90% of our realtors don't have the first clue about land, but 10% do. So now what you need to do is, one of the things we train our students on is how to find what we call the Michael Jordan of land realtors in that market. When you find that, boom, your property sells like hotcakes, and you do nothing for the sale, which is really beautiful. But yeah, so it's definitely an exit strategy using a realtor. But you got to be careful, because 90% of them still don't know how to do anything with land.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think that sell side is so important. Even if you can get a great deal, right, you got to be able to exit that. And I've seen people, stuck for a long time. The only thing also that can be challenging with land, right, is that, it's not cash flowing for you, right, until you do that seller back financing or set up the actual exit. So just something to be aware of there. Now, tell me about do you do anything around, land acquisition and entitlement for, say, builders or things like that? Is that part of your strategy also?
It is. Historically, we have been focusing on more the quick wholesale, the seller financing, and then to some degree on minor subdivisions. So minor subdivisions is more like where you take a rural 40-acre parcel, and usually in rural areas, basically an hour away from town or so, the rules are much simplified over compared to in the city. If you want to subdivide something in the city, it's meeting after meeting with the city and county and neighborhood hearings and things like that. If you do it in the more recreational rural areas, it's usually it's a two-page form, a $400 fee, and you can split that thing into 5 pieces. And when you do that, you can sell those 5 pieces for up to 4 times what you would have sold the individual piece, because you can split it such. Usually we like to split it like in let's say 40-acre parcel, we like to split into 120-acre, sell that one as a wholesale for more than we bought the entire 40 acres, and then take the other 20 acres and split that into 4 5-acre parcels and sell each of those. Now we have no money in the deal. Right? We have gotten all our money back, have profit in our pocket, and take those 4 or 5-acre pieces and sell them with seller financing and create cash flow from those properties. And when you do it with seller financing, the benefit of that is that you get a higher price, you sell it at a higher price, and you get interest on top of it. So your profits can really be 4 times as much per lot than it would be with a wholesale deal. That's one way. But recently we have done also, we are now in the middle of some entitlement deals. I'm actually doing one with 2 partners in California, 26 acres. We got under contract for $1.7 million. We believe that once it's fully entitled, it could be worth up to $8 million. And that's a deal that we have in the works right now. I have to say, personally, I haven't done many of those. But the nice part is that we now, and for many years, we are the largest, the best, the most professional land coaching company in our industry. We have 10 coaches that coach with us and for us. And somebody in our group, one of them is doing a 25-unit development right now. Another one is doing a rezoning right now. Another one is doing a triple net land lease deal right now. So the nice part is that when people come to us, they don't just get taught one strategy, but if they come with a large deal, we always have somebody in our group that has done this already that can help them through those kind of deals.
Yeah. Jack, tell us about your book, Forever Cash Flow Strategy.
So Forever Cash is a different kind of book. It's kind of my version of Rich Dad Poor Dad in a way. It's not a real estate book. It's a book on how to create wealth. Again, as I said, my dad is a middle school teacher. My mom stayed-home mom. My wife's mother is a retired elementary school teacher. My dad's retired too. And her dad passed away when she was 9 months old. So she grew up with a single mom in Honduras, Central America, not a wealthy country. So neither one of us grew up with wealth at all. So we had to discover the wealth principles on our own through lots and lots of reading and lots of discussions and lots of trial and error. And Forever Cash is our combined wealth philosophy. And it can be summarized in the following way, that not all cash is created equal, and that a dollar is not a dollar is not a dollar. And in other words, what I mean by that is that I talk about the concept of one-time cash, temporary cash, and forever cash. So one-time cash really simply means that if you do something one time, you get paid one time, that's it. Like a land wholesale deal, if we buy a piece of land for $10,000 or put in a contract for $10,000 and sell it for $35,000, we make a $25,000 check, that's it. We won't get paid again on that deal. If my 17-year-old goes around the neighborhood and says, "Can I mow your neighbor's lawn?" We live in Arizona, there are no lawns, but can I mow your lawn? And they said yes, and she mows somebody's lawn and she gets $20 for that. That's a one-time deal because she got paid for the work she did, and that's it. That's how 99% of Americans live their life, or 95% of Americans live their life. Because a job is a one-time cash deal. You say like, well, I get paid every week. Well, yeah, because you work every week. Like try to show up on excuse for a week, you'll be fired, right? And the income stops very quickly. So it's one-time cash. Well, one-time cash is okay, and there's different qualities of one-time cash. Like that $25,000 wholesale deal is a heck of a lot of better quality than a mowing the neighbor's lawn. Because mowing the neighbor's lawn, if you mow 10 lawns and you get $20 per lawn, it might take you 10 hours and you made $200. If I put 10 hours into a land deal, I can make $25,000. So this is a much higher quality one-time cash, but it's still one-time cash. And very few people can retire on one-time cash. The only way you retire on it is you build so much that you can never outspend it. Right. The second kind of cash that we talk about is temporary cash. Temporary cash is the easiest way. One of them is seller financing. So you do the work once, you get a deal under contract for $10,000, it's worth $50,000, you sell it for $50,000 with a $10,000 down payment, you have no money in the deal, they pay you the remaining $40,000 are being paid at $500 a month for the next 15 years. Great. Now I did the work once and I get paid $500 every single month, and I do nothing for it anymore. I just have checks coming into the mail. That is great, but it will end. It will end. 15 years from now, it will end. So after 15 years, I got to go rebuild it. That's okay too, but it's just so it's a better quality, because let's say I do 20 deals at $500 a month. Now I'm having $10,000 a month coming into the mailbox for the next 15 years. I can technically put my feet up for the next 15 years and do nothing if that covers my expenses, which for most people 100 grand or so does, right? So, or it's actually more like 120 grand, because it's $10,000 a month, 120 a year. So $120,000, that covers a lot of people's expenses. So you get put up your feet and that's it. But then you have to rebuild it. But it's qualitatively obviously much better than a one-time cash, because you got to keep going with a one-time cash. The moment you stop, the income stops. Here, the moment you stop, the income comes gone, but it goes on only for a certain amount of time. The final is, and the ultimate is, forever cash. And forever cash is basically never-ending cash flow. So what happens? What is that? Well, it could be buying a dividend stock. Buying Coca-Cola stock pays whatever number of the percent dividend, and it just spends out money forever. I mean, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, I think they own so much Coca-Cola stock that they're getting almost $1 billion a year in cash flow from that. And for as long as Coca-Cola is intact, which is probably going to be forever, because everyone likes sugary drinks, and they now have they own so many more brands that no matter what happens, they'll probably survive. There's going to be cash flow coming in. Another way is actually buying an apartment complex, buying a rental house in the real estate world. So what we do is we use land as what we call, it's another concept in the book, we call land our cash machine. So there's nothing wrong with one-time cash, and there's nothing wrong with temporary cash, but they're means to an end. The means that they're a stepping stone towards forever cash. So what Michelle and I do, we do all three. We do one-time cash, wholesale deals. We do seller-financing deals, temporary cash deals. But then most importantly, we take all the money that that is left over from that after paying our expenses, and move that into apartment complexes and things like that, and create forever cash income. And as a result, we've built up a portfolio of almost 1,000 apartments now that we own, that spit out a portfolio of rental houses that spits out just tremendous amounts of cash flow every single year. And as long as we put a little bit of it back to repair and keep the substance of the property intact, and as long as the world doesn't dramatically change, we have a property in North Carolina that is 90 units that spits out cash to us, multiple six figures a year. I haven't even seen that property in 2 years. We're going to keep it I get weekly reports. We have a wonderful property management company. My time investments is 20 minutes a week on a quick conference call with the property managers. And other than that, it just spits out cash, and it'll do that for the next 100 years, really without really an end. Or if there's an end, I can sell it and I can move it into something else. But that's forever cash. So this concept, what most people do wrong, is they just build up a pile of cash and then live it down. And that's not bad, but how do you know how long you're going to live? Like sometimes some people live less time and they leave a lot of money over, and some people outlive their money, and that's not a good situation. So instead, use this to roll it into forever cash assets, and then once you have that forever cash asset produce what you want it to produce, you're done for life. You just simply live off the money. And that's why I'm saying $1 is not $1, because if I take $1 that's created from one-time cash, from an active income activity, and I spend it, it's gone. If I take $1 from a cash flow stream, that thing, I can tear that dollar apart. I can throw it down the toilet. The next month, another $1 comes. But eventually it'll end. And forever cash, if I want to buy a new Ferrari, I buy a new Ferrari or whatever it is. I buy a new car with a cash flow from whatever, a few months or whatever it is, or a year, whatever the number is. I buy a new car. If I run that car against the wall and I walk away, the next year I can buy a new car, because that money keeps coming and again and again and again and again forever. If I want to go on vacation, I use that money because next month more money is coming in and it'll never stop. And that's the life that we were looking for. So what we did is we set certain goals on that path, and those goals we're pursuing little by little and step by step and month by month and week by week and day by day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Jack. I mean, that's basically, completely contrarian to Wall Street, right? Which is basically, it's accumulation theory is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So you're saving towards this retirement, this big nest egg at retirement, and then you're trying to live off of that and hope you don't outlive your money from there. So the cash flow strategy, and I think more and more people are, becoming aware. I know all of our listeners out there are totally aware of this. That's why we're here, to learn new strategies of accelerating our cash and, to be able to do that and really, live life today, right? And have that cash flow coming in. But if you could give just one piece of advice to the audience about how they could accelerate their wealth trajectory, what would it be?
Increase your income. Because that's the engine. Like, you need to have an engine. If you can't get, that's the one part where I disagree to some degree with like Dave Ramsey. I think actually come around. I agree with a lot of what he says. Live below your means and do all those kind of things. But the one thing is like it's a contractionary kind. I don't say like stop having your daily Starbucks. I don't say stop having your things that you enjoy. You got to enjoy life. But the most important thing is you can't. If you have $100 a month left over of them every single month, it's going to take a long time to build this into something. So what you got to do is you got to grow that 100 month to $1,000 to $10,000, and you do that by expanding your ability to make money, and that's what we have done. When we had jobs at corporate America, we just bought a starter home. We just bought a car. Of course, you got to look good. You need a car, because I was running with a 15-year-old Toyota Camry that was like falling apart. And I got myself a new car and things like that. And soon enough, I realized the money I was making, that wasn't that much. I wasn't like on a $50,000 a year salary. It was gone. The mortgage was paid. The insurance was paid. The electricity was paid. The air conditioning in Arizona was paid. The car payments were paid. And groceries were paid. And I had no money left. It's like, how in the world am I going to advance financially if I have nothing left? Once we started on the side, the land business, our first deal made us $3,600. The second deal made us $9,500. A third deal made us $10,000. The next deal made us $20,000. Within a matter of 6 months, we had paid off our debt. We had created $5,000 in monthly cash flow, temporary cash, for the next 7 to 10 years. And we had put a year's worth of living expenses on the sideline. So that's an acceleration. Within 6 months, we were able to generate something like, in order to do that, something like $150,000 in profits. And then we were comfortable to quit our jobs because we had a year's worth of living expenses on the sideline, and we have more in cash flow coming in than our expenses was going. And then at that point, we're like, now our job is holding us back. The green card arrived. We were able to quit. Then both Michelle and I went full time into this business and catapulted it up. Not saying anyone should do that, but the big accelerator at the beginning was going from having $100 left at the month to having $150,000 in profits, was by expanding our ability to make money outside of our jobs, because most people just try to make more money inside of their jobs by getting a promotion and getting those kind of things. And it usually just comes with more hours, more responsibility, more stress. Instead, consider staying where you are in your job and adding something on the outside that can catapult you financially up here. And then if you love your job, you keep it. But if you don't, now you got plan B that can become plan A.
Yeah. Awesome. Really appreciate the time and wisdom today, Jack. If people would like to connect with you and learn more about your, coaching programs or your book or anything, what is the best place?
Sure. The easiest way to go, if you want to learn about the land flipping or strategy, you can go to Land Profit Fun. Fun like F-U-N, like having fun, landprofitfun.com. And when you go there, you can download a 30-day blueprint, which is a very detailed document that shows you exactly what you need to do to set up your business and get your business going. That's one thing you can do. And and other than that, I also have a podcast called The Jack Bosch Show. I kept it with that name because I talk about sometimes entrepreneurial thing, but I do talk a fair amount of land. So you can go in there, and there's actually a 7-part series too. So you can find me on the different podcast platforms, and on YouTube I'm under Jack Bosch too. Again, Bosch is Bosch. And if you find me there, there's a 7-part video there that you can watch. It gives you also some good insights about the land.
Awesome. Really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Wealth Strategy Secrets. If you'd like to get a free copy of the book, go to holisticwealthstrategy.com. That's holisticwealthstrategy.com. If you'd like to learn more about upcoming opportunities at Pantheon, please visit pantheoninvest.com. That's pantheoninvest.com.